Hey everyone, for those of you who haven't been here before, my name is Derek Royden. I write an article every week for nationofchange.org. My work has appeared on a variety of websites, occupy.com, truthout, antiwar.com, so thanks for stopping in. And for all those of you who've been here before, I'd really like to give a huge shout out and a thank you to those of you who've liked and have shared these vlogs and my articles. It's been really helpful in allowing me to reach a broader audience, so I'd really like to say thank you to all of you. So without any more, we'll get to today's story, which is from the New Yorker, a magazine I used to really kind of read a lot. I find that since the election of Donald Trump in the United States, the magazine's kind of changed a little bit, taken on more of a kind of alarmist in terms of domestic politics and neocon in terms of kind of foreign policy issues. Turn that I just don't agree with. So I read the magazine less, and I honestly, for the most part, I read it more for the cultural stuff, the film reviews, book reviews, and stuff that were in it, rather than for their political analysis, which is pretty centrist usually and pretty pedestrian. So this article is by Masha Gessen. Now I should say before I start, she's a really good writer, but a lot of the time in her work, she used to work at the New York Review of Books, I believe. I don't entirely agree with her positions either. She is kind of a little bit either centrist or maybe even a little bit to the right, a little bit too much for my taste, but just putting it out there that when I talk about things on these vlogs, it's from a left-wing point of view, just so that viewers know. So anyway, right to today's story, which was actually a really interesting one, called Barcelona's Experiment in Radical Democracy. She begins, Barcelona City Hall looks like it's been occupied by protesters. A banner over the entrance to the 14th century building reads, in Catalan, "Free political prisoners," a reference to Catalan pro-independence activists, some of whom have been prosecuted while others were forced into exile by the national government in Madrid. The banner was placed here by the city government, which is indeed run by protesters. The ruling coalition of Mayor Ada Colau, I hope I'm saying that right, has its roots in the Indignados, the anti-austerity movement that's often referred to as Spain's precursor to Occupy Wall Street. Colau herself is not a supporter of Catalan independence, which she's going to talk about further in the article. So she goes on to say that Barcelona is the heart of a new global political phenomenon known as municipalism. Last weekend, municipalist activists from North America, Europe, and Africa met in New York City for the third Fearless Cities Summit. The first took place in Barcelona last year, and this summer there were summits in Warsaw and New York on subsequent weekends in July. Municipalism is hard to define, and intentionally so. Municipalist activists aim to break the bounds of traditional party politics and challenge institutional politics as they currently exist, making the language of party and institutional politics a priori insufficient for describing them. Now, when talking about municipalism, it's important to note the great Murray Bookchin, a political philosopher from Vermont, is basically one of the kind of, you can't really call him an originator of this idea because, of course, Greek democracy bears similarities to this, as does the writing of C.L.R. James and a couple other people who were loosely called anarchists, but would actually probably be more properly described as municipalists. In the case of Bookchin, he's a municipal confederalist, which is a really interesting position. You know, I really encourage people to go and look for either Murray Bookchin's books, or there are many great videos of him speaking. In fact, there's one that I have here on this blog, which I will link to below. So if you're interested, go and take a look at what he had to say, because he is a fascinating person and a really great speaker and writer. So I can't recommend his work enough. Gessen goes on to say, I was in Barcelona in June and interviewed several of the key members of Barcelona en Comú, basically in common. The platform, as its participants call it, that brought Colau and her coalition to City Hall in June 2015. Barcelona en Comú in turn, is part of a wave that has been dubbed municipalist confluences. New formations that have emerged from activist movements in Madrid, Cadiz, and elsewhere in Spain. The Indignados were really big and really important. They were a huge influence on not only Occupy Wall Street, but also on Nuit Debout in France, and many other movements around the world. Like, we cannot, how can I put it, minimalize the importance that the Indignados had. So for the activists, entering institutional politics was something like a measure of last resort. We have tried everything, Gala Pin told me. Pin began her work as an activist, as a member of an anarchist collective that squatted in a disused building in Barcelona. And then, after the 2008 housing crash, she worked as an anti-eviction activist. We have tried civil disobedience. We have tried negotiating with banks. Nothing works. We have to join institutions in order to change the way we make policy. I think, that's a really interesting point that Pin makes, is that it is, and kind of has been for a long time, my position that, it's best that we try to work in parallel with larger institutions locally. But the truth of the matter is, unless people who share our ideas and share our values participate, especially in local government, because of course municipalism, this is what it's all about, we really won't see progress on the kinds of things we want to see. So as Gessen goes on to say, the municipalist agenda is intentionally broad. It's based, as Pin puts it, on common goals rather than differences. As overgeneral and even naive as that may sound, it has practical implications. Municipalism is not trying to distinguish itself from other political parties, in part because it's not itself a party. Municipalist programs tend to be focused on the specific needs of a city's residents and specific programs that address them. In Barcelona, much of the program is focused on regulating tourist industries in order to improve the lot of local residents, but also to restore some of the city's particular character that has attracted tourism in the first place. This is an area that has been of interest to me for a while as well, the idea of gentrification. I mean, the reality, actually, even outside my own door, of gentrification. And the fact that what's interesting is what initially attracted people to these neighborhoods, even just richer residents who move in after gentrification, is the character that was once there that has now gone. So, it's something that's worth thinking about when we're talking about these issues. As the name makes clear, Barcelona en Comú is focused on the commons. Colau speaks of the importance of public space often and articulately. Public space is the place where, par excellence for democracy, the space that belongs to all of us. Therefore, this is also the space of the most vulnerable people, which is what democratic systems should prioritize, the people who have fewer opportunities. If you have little private space, you have more public space and public services, libraries, beaches, parks. It is the space to meet with others, but it's also a space where you can be who you are or who you want to be. This is a space for freedom, and therefore it is a space where you can build up the city with others. So from that point of view, the more public space there is, and the better its quality, the better the quality of the democracy. So this is the main point that I wanted to get across in this video, which is already going a little bit long, so I'm going to put an end to it. But you should read the rest of Gessen's article. But the main thing is that this is just about broadening democracy. It's nothing for people to be afraid of, because people have a tendency to fear anarchist ideas. But we have to remember that the system as it stands right now, like in terms of the environment, in terms of equality, in terms of almost everything, it's just not working. So it's time to build towards some alternatives. That's just my 2 cents. Thanks a lot for watching, and we'll talk to you soon. Remember,